Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and everybody on the planet has called me today. And so I'm kind of behind. Look at this. This is Wall Street buying the first 100,000 Bitcoins. It's showing you these are the different ETFs. There's Fidelity, Bitwise, there's BlackRock. Ooh, is that ARK? Yeah, VanEck, Invesco. Not sure. I think that's Franklin Templeton. I'm not sure who that one is. It looks like BlackRock winning the race. Interesting graphic. I don't know how many let's see how many they ended up with. Shows roughly 40,000. Is that what I saw? Then we got Anthony Pompliano, formerly of the seller of Bitcoin pizza boxes.
I think it's all the same thing, right? If you really think about it, Bitcoin was the one that kicked off this entire revolution. When you look at the monetary competition, I think Bitcoin is by far the winner.
That's not correct. Bitcoin is a store of value and only a store of value because it can't be monetary competition. It's not a currency. It isn't fast. It doesn't work for payments the way that was in the white paper. He knows this. He knows that XRP is far more superior than Bitcoin. But he has to pretend for whatever. His handlers have told him he has to pretend like Bitcoin is the end-all be-all.
It's going to be a big technology competition. And really when you...
No. If there was an actual technology competition and things had been let go instead of regulatory capture and people trying to stop Ripple, XRP would be the #1 digital asset in the world, and that's the fact, Jack. You know it too, Anthony, because you tweeted it in November or maybe it was August of 2017. He knows it.
At this sector, I think a lot of people want to put it in a separate bucket, but I look at this just as another macro asset that you can go in and you can invest in. And so what we have seen is young people specifically are putting their capital into this sector. This sector has outperformed drastically. Even with the recent pull down, Bitcoin is still up like 75% or something. And so I think that investors who want to have outperformance, they're going to have to allocate to this sector. And the ones that continue to fight it, they're just going to get left behind.
Anthony, I want to get back to the spot Bitcoin ETF discussion, but I have to ask you a little bit more about Coinbase. Obviously, had a great year last year, up nearly 400% or something like that. You take a look at the 2024 performance, down, 28% year to date. Is that a dip that you're buying?
So Coinbase, we've just held the position, and what I think really, again, it's the #1 regulated exchange in America. And so if you're bullish on this sector, you've got to be bullish on Coinbase. Another thing is they're the custody provider for many of these ETFs. And so in some weird way, they're almost taxing the entire ETF kind of trend. And so I think Coinbase will continue to be a leader. And overall, that's good for the industry, but I also think it's good for Wall Street, right? Wall Street doesn't just want to have a bunch of assets that are sitting there that they can't access if they're on, non-public exchanges. And so having a stock like Coinbase that they're able to allocate to, I think is actually good for them as well.
I want to get a little bit philosophical here because I'm looking at your notes. You write about this new regime that this spot Bitcoin ETF approval is bringing about. Different investors, less volatility, more mainstream adoption. Less volatility, doesn't that just mean that Bitcoin trading is going to become less fun?
Definitely. I always joke that when the suits show up, the fun is over, right? and so to some degree, if you really think about what these new investors do, they have different behaviors, right? They rebalance their portfolios.
All right, enough of that. Here's the other interesting clip that's going around. This is him talking about Tether. If you think Tether is not a government operation, think again.
Is Tether the stablecoin of the future?
So one of the interesting things about Tether and USDC was rising in adoption, but it's a regulated stablecoin in the United States. And so actually people internationally don't like that. That is a turnoff to them, is that there's now a coin that the United States government has a lot of oversight in. And so Tether has continued to see adoption go up. They are the 16th largest holder of US Treasuries. At this point, they are an essential part of...
I got news for you, folks. If the SEC can go after CZ Binance, they can go after Tether. Hence, Tether is a government program.
The American financial economy.
So what does that mean for Circle then as it looks to IPO? Would you be a buyer in IPO stock?
I think Circle's an amazing business. And
Circle. There we go. By the way, while we're there, don't forget, remember that Circle has been on the Link2 platform, who is one of my sponsors, and Ripple is on the Link2 platform today. Circle, USDC. I own private equity in both.
Especially with high interest rates, they're going to continue to do very, very well. I think, again, I'm an American sitting on American soil, right? I look at these things very differently than maybe somebody does internationally. But again, we cannot discount. If you're the 16th largest buyer of U.S. treasuries at the same time that China, Japan, et cetera, is all buying treasuries less, these things are going to become a very, very important part. And then also Tether, I mean, if you look at their numbers, right, it's one of the most profitable businesses on a revenue to employee basis in the world. And so instead of...
You know why it's so profitable, folks, is because both Tether and Circle are a money printing business. How many of those have you seen in your lifetime? That's why I own Circle Private Equity. Ripple Private Equity is pretty important to me too. Okay, go in the description. Link2.com is where you need to go. linqto.com. They are my sponsor. Go check it out. Okay. Speaking of Ripple, David Schwartz was on with Tony from Thinking Crypto. Here's a clip I put out.
What are you looking forward to this year?
Well, regulatory clarity, a resolution to the lawsuit, obviously, would be. There is some reasonable chance that Ripple's lawsuit with the SEC will be resolved in 2024. Still could be appeals, I suppose. I mean, whether that would be resolved, I don't know. Big on sort of scaling at the blockchain layer. I think right now people can't really innovate right at the blockchain layer, and technologies like side chains and some of the zero knowledge proof stuff will enable people to innovate more sort of right at that lowest layer and enable more scalability. Just getting more people into the ecosystem, I think, is the biggest thing. Like, we have to create user experiences that are compelling to people, and I'm hoping that we can do that. On the XRP Ledger side, I'm hoping the AMM amendment will eventually activate. Decentralized identity doesn't seem all that controversial. And seeing things like carbon markets and tokenized securities, I think one of the problems, particularly, so like in the United States and in most of Europe, like, we're overserved with financial products. Like, we have access to everything. Like, I can invest in anything I want right on my phone with an app. But there's a lot of people who don't have those opportunities, and they basically, their choice is to stuff cash in a mattress or not, and giving them access to tokenized securities and giving them access to things like collateralized lending. Obviously, they would be on so that's the other interesting thing. So, like, when you think about collateralized lending or centralized lending, you often tend to think about, like, rich people having a tax efficient way to, like, access their crypto profits. That's not super, that's not that's not the way I want to change the world. But if you think about it from the other side of the sort of low risk loan for a person who can get a return who might not have access to other financial products or services, like, that's really big, because that's the way you build wealth is by saving up a little bit over a period of time, but it has to compound. Otherwise, inflation is just going to destroy it. So giving people who haven't had an opportunity to build wealth an opportunity to build compounding wealth in a system that can't be regulated away or taxed away by fees and everything that eat into those rich, small fees today, the fees compound too. So those kinds of things are exciting. And of course, institutional adoption. We'll see what the Bitcoin ETFs lead to.
All right, and some other guys put out some great clips. Here's one of them.
I think we're still in the process of processing exactly how the strategic, like, Ripple had strategies that they were working on that required custody. But Medico has so much more than they have those things of layered services with compliance. They have this possibility for a tokenization platform and this integrating it with payments and liquidity. And I think we're still thinking through exactly, we know what Ripple brings to the table. We know what Medico brings to the table. Obviously, the two of them together is great. But then what's the extra? What's the synergy that you get? I think we're still in the process of figuring out how we can adjust Ripple's strategy and Medico's strategy to take advantage of what the other can provide. It's going to be interesting to see. I wish I could talk about some of those ideas because they're great, but very little's finalized yet. So that's something. And again, we couldn't really do that until us and Medico were on the same side of the table.
Sure.
And we're totally willing to give the crazy ideas and the bad ideas as well as the good ones without having to worry about blowing up, $250 million deal.
Uh-huh. All right. And then you had this clip on stablecoins.
That's super exciting. Yeah. So on the stablecoin front, that's mostly happening through the Ripple X side, the XRP Ledger side of Ripple. We've recently announced partnerships with Stasis, which is the leading Euro stablecoin, one of the top 10 stablecoins globally, and Novati, which brings large ERC20 stablecoins like USDC and USDT, as well as an Australian dollar stablecoin to the XRP Ledger DEX. One of the things that's been missing on the XRP Ledger DEX is like a large number of high quality assets. Like there's XRP, and then there's a couple of like medium, and then there's a long tail of interesting stablecoins, but not access to not like a high quality US dollar stablecoin obviously is extremely important. So, and the Euro stablecoin. So that's going to help bring some of those things to the XRP Ledger side. On the CB.
Okay. Then we got James Phelan. The SEC has filed its reply in further support of its motion to compel. Now I'm about to take you into DAIXRP.com, and we're gonna there's so many unbelievable clips that I can't show out here that are circulating. You can see them on X, but I can't show them on YouTube because YouTube is not X. You can't show the same stuff. It's just the way it is in the United States of America. But I can show them in DAIXRP.com. So I'm going to show you a really unbelievable, another thing I'm going to show you is we're entering this world now where you're hearing people say things and you can't tell for sure whether it's AI or not. And I'm going to show you one of those clips that if it's this person, it's extremely disturbing. I'm going to write that down as a thumbnail, extremely, because it is. If it's actually the person saying this, it is extremely disturbing, and something should be done about it immediately. We'll see. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. You want to see extremely disturbing? Go in DAIXRP.com because we'll show it there.